I found myself in Brazil at the end of the 90s, and there were young people getting involved in the drug wars in the favelas and the slums in Rio. And it was very clear to me that these kids, they weren't in school and they weren't in any programs whatsoever. They weren't interested in anything. And I wasn't sure how to start talking to them because at the time I was working for a development organisation, and I felt that opening a small boxing club would be a brilliant way for them to come in. But it became more than that. It was actually a way for me to go out and talk to them and go to the sales points on the corner in the different communities that I was in at the time, the favelas, and bring them into the gym. You know, and that started very small. There were 10 kids in the program in the beginning. To date, over the last 12 years, we've had 7,000 young people through the program. And we also opened up an academy, a Fight for Peace academy here in East London 4 years ago, which has also been extremely successful, quite similar to what your guys are doing at Fitzroy, working with youth offending teams and so on. And it's very clear that not only is boxing a dialogue in terms of starting a conversation with young people that might not be interested in talking to anyone else, but it also has everything that we've already heard this afternoon. I'm going to just fully back that up in terms of it giving discipline, giving self-confidence, and giving kids or young people a sort of objective in terms of what they want to be and so on. And that's very, very important in terms of getting people on the right track. But we'd say that more than just keeping kids off the street, we've developed a methodology that we call the 5 pillars. So it's boxing, martial arts, and we do inclusion, but we also do to elite levels. So I've got one young man who actually be at the Olympics from our gym in London, who'll be boxing, and we've got 3 Brazilian champions at the moment. We hope to have British champions soon in the future. We haven't been around in Britain as long. But at the same time, we need to keep all the young people that are not going to go through to competition. And this, I think, is important for policymakers when they're listening. Because at the moment we have a lot of clubs that are taking young people through to competition, and I think it's really important that we can take an even bigger scale in terms of working through boxing by making sure that young people that don't want to go through to competition are also supported. And in the right clubs, in good clubs they are, but in some clubs they're not always. So it's important that balance is mixed, and we've managed to do both. Secondly is education. So we run education programs. So we currently have about 600 young people in Brazil studying primary and secondary level education with us. These are 16 to 25-year-olds who've dropped completely out of the school system. And we bring them back into it. Job training is another important part of the 5 pillars. Youth support through youth leadership is also important. So the young people in our program, they run the gym pretty much. It's theirs to run. We don't work in a hierarchical way. And then lastly is youth support. So we go and do home visits with some of the families that are having issues and so on. It sounds very similar to all the stuff that you're doing through your organisation. I think by teaming up more community-based organisations with authentic boxing clubs is probably the way to go, so you can cover both sides of that.